It's really funny. This morning, I actually posted my video about my favorite films of all time. And someone commented within it, Media Bro, I believe it was, saying, "Cool list, cool video, can't wait to see your TV show video, ranking your favorite TV shows." To which I was about to comment, I don't really intend to do that. You know, you could kind of just go on my top 100s every year and kind of see what my favorite TV shows are, and just count 10 from there. But then I went, oh, you know what? I wouldn't mind talking about each one. I probably won't have as much to say about them as I did with the films. This is probably going to be quite a shorter video compared to the films one. But I'm down to count down my top 10 favorite TV shows of all time. Some of you guys may not be aware. Some of you guys may not check out the top 100s or know my thoughts on various TV shows. So I figured, why not? Yeah, TV shows, as I've talked about in the past, are one of my favorite mediums. And unlike books or film, where I really love the medium, but I sometimes struggle for the amount of time it takes to properly explore them as much as I'd like to, although this year I'm changing that, I do watch lots of TV shows. I've seen lots of TV shows. I feel like, I don't know if I'm an expert or anything, but I feel much more experienced when it comes to TV and the golden age of TV and current TV. And obviously there's some classics that I've not seen yet. Twin Peaks is one that's always recommended to me that I haven't seen. I haven't seen Twin Peaks, but I've especially, in the last 5 to 10 years, watched a lot of TV shows that I really, really, really enjoy. So this is my top 10, 13 technically, and I might be forgetting one or two in the honorable mentions, but it is not at all an extensive list of every TV show I like. There are plenty. But let's start off with, and let me just make sure I'm not spoiling anything, the honorable mentions. So for the honorable mentions, I have Mindhunter, an incredible moody sort of period piece about criminology and criminal minds and psychology and the darkness of the human mind and the darkness of being exposed to it, which is incredible that I really, really wish had gotten more seasons, but is still one of my favorites. The Pit, which first came out a couple of years ago, and, you know, it struck a craze, and people were talking about it, and it had gone all over the place, especially during the time that Season 2 was airing. And I was going, okay, medical drama, you know, I've seen some of those, I've heard about a lot of those. Is it really for me? I don't know. But I love the premise. For anyone unaware, the premise of The Pit is every episode is an hour chronicles an hour of its cast of characters in the Pittsburgh, I don't know what it's called, but the Pittsburgh Medical Center in central Pittsburgh, which is called The Pit, as we see the daily lives of these healthcare workers, all sorts of healthcare workers within that hospital, and every episode being 1 hour, and there being these micro dissections of characters within that hour, and as we get glimpses of their family life or their backstory or where they want to be heading, and how you can almost see an encapsulation of who these characters are within one workday, as well as the struggles and examinations of the American healthcare system, and the drama they're in and everything. I think it's absolutely fascinating, and it strikes this incredible balance between being very, very bingeable. You finish an episode of The Pit and you want to just watch the next one, while also being very heavy, as a medical drama usually is going to be. And you'd think that those two things aren't necessarily compatible, even though, you know, conceptually it seems incompatible, but, you know, you think of House, Grey's Anatomy, all these really popular medical dramas, it ends up being the opposite, and that's the case with The Pit as well. It's an incredible cast. Season 1 is slightly better than Season 2, which I think had some problems, but also made its main character, Dr. Robbie, it leveled him up. It made him even better than he was before. And despite some flaws with the sort of prioritization and character balancing, Season 2 is still really good. And overall, The Pitt's become one of my favorite shows. Just missing out on the top 10. And it's in my top 100. It was in my top 100 a few months ago, this past year, in April or whenever it was. And then Better Call Saul. I've talked a lot about Better Call Saul before. It's an incredible character drama, very, very beautiful visually, one of the best directed shows you're ever going to see, a very meticulous, deliberate, slow-burning character drama. In some moments, I think it spins its wheels a bit too much, and kind of fails to be consistently as engaging as I maybe would have liked it to be. Sometimes my engagement was at a 6 or 7 out of 10 in certain stretches of episodes, rather than a consistent 9 or 10 out of 10, as it is with some of my absolute favorites, but I still think, by and large, that's just a minor complaint, very, very minor criticism, and the characters in Better Call Saul are overall better than Breaking Bad. It's an easy comparison to make, lazy but easy. The direction's incredible, the character arcs are very meticulous and awesome, and the way it is sort of a legacy to Breaking Bad is utterly fantastic. It's one of my favorite shows. Always has been, always will be. And it could be in the top 10. I could argue around it being in the top 10, but I think there are some shows above it that you might laugh at being above it, because you just entirely disagree. But hey, that's what taste is, and that's what emotions are, and a couple of these shows just hit emotionally a bit more for me than Better Call Saul, and are just a more consistent, engaging watch, even if they're more flawed. Now, if we get to number 10, one of those is Supernatural, specifically seasons 1 to 5. Where, to me, that's where the story is at its best. I just think of the episodes and seasons after this as kind of like a bonus that isn't really attached to my... It's a cohesive story, the first 5 seasons, and that story of the first 5 seasons is my favorite. The bond between the main 2 characters, the arcs, the way it builds upon its own plot and lore in such a cohesive, organic, authentic way, the supporting cast, the use of music, just... The twists and turns and the emotions, it's genuinely incredible. This is a series that has so many flaws for sure that I am absolutely always willing to talk about, but it also just really sticks in my gut, sticks in my heart. It's been with me for almost 20 years. I had watched it when I was a kid. It's very important to me in that way. So it has that emotional connection, more so than Better Call Saul, and it's not just because of nostalgia, it's not just because of that. I genuinely feel closer to the characters and core premise of Supernatural than I do with something like The Pitt, Mindhunter, or Better Call Saul, which is why it's higher. But it is important to mention the context, and the context for Supernatural is a huge part of my connection to it. Number 9 is The Sopranos. Some would argue the most important television show ever made. There would be no Breaking Bad, no Mad Men, no Succession, no Boardwalk Empire without The Sopranos. And it is a masterwork. It is so unbelievably incredible. With one of the best, not just TV characters of all time, but characters of all time in Tony Soprano, just incredibly acted, and this awesome, amazing balance between very genuinely flawed, but also incredibly compassionate, likable, strangely open to so many things while being closed off to others, and just the character dissection that we get for Tony Soprano throughout The Sopranos is honestly out of this world amazing. I'm actually currently going through a rewatch of The Sopranos that's paused right now. It's paused right now. We're about halfway through. And that maybe it could go even higher. It's actually elevated as I've watched the first 3.5 seasons, rewatched them. It could go higher than this. It really could. But I absolutely love it as it stands. I totally adore it. I think every episode is engaging. I think maybe something that holds it back a little bit more is outside of maybe my favorite 4 or 5 characters. The supporting cast from number 6 onwards is maybe weaker for me than the supporting cast for a lot of the shows above it. As well as maybe the setting being very interesting to me, but maybe not as immersive and engrossing to me. Maybe the plot not being as captivating, even though it is really captivating. It's more of a... I guess it just has 1 or 2 less masterful highs. But it's all around, like, I understand why it's some people's number 1. It's all around absolutely incredible. And like I said, it could easily be higher than this when I finish my rewatch. But as it stands, number 9. Number 8, and you're gonna laugh at me for this one, SpongeBob SquarePants. Seasons 1 to 3. Yes, this is largely... A lot of this is due to nostalgia, but just like with Supernatural, it being nostalgic does not mean it doesn't stand the test of time. It absolutely does. SpongeBob is such a immersive getaway. I can pick up any episode from the first 3 seasons, which I think are head and shoulders above the quality of the stuff after that, and just be immersed, love the endearing characters, laugh, get emotional in sequences, and like any good show that holds up years after you see it for the first time, yeah, it was there for me in my childhood, I adored it, but a lot of it stands the test of time. There are a lot of genuinely adult elements to it. Squidward as a character is phenomenal. A lot of the humor really, really holds up. And it's funny, but Bikini Bottom, the setting of SpongeBob SquarePants, is genuinely an amazing setting. It's immersive. It's got a lot of themes attached to it. It's really fun, and I think the aesthetic's great, and there's a depth and breadth to it. You kind of lose yourself in the culture of it, specifically in the first 3 seasons, and the people and the characters and the intermingling, I guess, threads and dynamics and relationships. You know, don't get me wrong, it's not One Piece level or something, but it's deceptively deep. And I think it's really, really good, and the setting is part of what keeps me coming back. SpongeBob SquarePants. You know, never accuse me. People can accuse me of a lot of things in my film video that got put up, even though I spent so much time for videos and videos talking about how I want to delve more into film as a medium, and have done this year, while sharing my favorite films of all time and talking about each one, and really so earnestly, passionately talking about them. In spite of that, I had people telling me, oh, you're a normie, these are surface level, to which I found it funny, because I never denied that, in fact, or I never denied that I need to delve into the medium more. I actually, in fact, said that many, many times, which is why it was sort of frustrating to see comments like that, but you never approach someone's favorites list by saying, you know, this is surface level. That shit is... Guys, don't do that shit. Anyway, that's an aside, sorry. What I'm trying to say is, people can accuse me of a lot of things. Being a normie is definitely one of them. I love a lot of normie stuff, but at the same time, I am not afraid to have Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban above Fight Club, you know? SpongeBob SquarePants above Sopranos. I am not afraid to tell you straight up when I love something more than something else, and I am not going to lean on nostalgia to sort of hide away and go like, oh, Sopranos is definitely 100% better than SpongeBob SquarePants. This is just nostalgia. No, I at this point in my life, I just genuinely love SpongeBob SquarePants more than the Sopranos. Like I said, that might not last, but for years, that's been the case, and it's the case right now. Anyway, number 7, which is a bit more critically acclaimed than SpongeBob, is a recent addition to this list, and an incredibly strong addition to this list, Andor. To this day, I've been exploring so much Star Wars stuff lately that I've talked about, the books, the novelizations, the Knights of the Old Republic video games, which have expanded my horizons for Star Wars and elevated my love for the universe so much. I'm currently reading the Dark Plagueis book. And I've talked so much about how much I love Revenge of the Sith, and Empire Strikes Back is amazing. But in spite of all that, the Star Wars story that reigns supreme, that is the best of the best for me, the cream of the crop, is Andor. And I think it'll take a ton, so much to dethrone it. I don't see it being dethroned. I found this show a little less than 2 years ago, I believe. Maybe a year and 2/3 or so. And I thoroughly loved it. And it's like, I've rewatched it 3 or 4 times since then, and it's just gotten better and better and better. The character writing, the direction, the pathos, the feel, the politics, and all the things that it says and how that's applicable to our everyday life. The monologues, the dialogue. Oh my god, just, it is more than a TV show. It is an important piece of art, specifically for any period in history, because it really looks back and talks about prior revolutions and prior examples of oppression. But specifically in the world today, it's so important. And more like, the reason it's on this list isn't just because it's important, it's because it's an incredible, moving, riveting story. And to be honest, I could see it going higher than this. I could see it being number 6. But just about ahead of it, and probably the most flawed, maybe other than Supernatural, show on this list, Arcane. A bunch of you guys, I'm sure, are following this channel because of my Arcane reactions, which is the most... I think the series of videos on this channel that, well, not that I have many, it's just a bunch of scattered thought stuff, but it is the series of videos on this channel that I essentially use this channel for. The Arcane reactions, I adore doing them. I think it's some of my best work, and if there is more League of Legends universe stuff in the future, I'll continue to do them on this channel. But yeah, the Arcane series, Season 1 is one of the most perfect works of art I've ever seen. Season 2, I mean, you can check out the reactions, check out my discussions on this channel for big, in-depth thoughts. It's very flawed, but nonetheless, I still think it's a really, really good season of television, in spite of its really big flaws. And overall, Arcane is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. One of the most moving, has one of the best casts. Visuals are out of this world. Some of the best presented stuff I've ever seen. Audio as well. Voice acting, everything. The thematics are so heady and interesting and ambitious, especially in Season 2, where there are more flaws, but I'd say it's a bit more ambitious. And Season 1 is just one of the best seasons of TV you're ever going to see. And I can't wait to see what these creators do next. Yeah, it's really close between 6 and 7, Arcane and Andor, but I'd give it to Arcane at this moment. A lot of this is pretty precarious. These are my top 10, but the order could change in a year or two's time. Let's see. Also, worth mentioning, I adore, let me put this in my honorable mentions, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Magnificent show. I'm currently rewatching it, and I can't wait for Season 2. Anyways, top 5. Number 5. Breaking Bad. I don't think there's much to say about this. I know people tend, especially lately, to prefer Better Call Saul over Breaking Bad, and I definitely get that. Like I said, it's a better cast. It's a better character cast. It's got better direction. Better visuals. But to me, Breaking Bad is more consistently engaging. To me, there isn't a single episode of Breaking Bad where my engagement falters. I think it's so beautifully, meticulously plotted and allows a lot of its characters and plot threads to breathe, and gives us the most organic character study you're likely to see. Right up there with Better Call Saul and The Sopranos, but also is just absolutely thrilling and so engaging from episode to episode. It's a piece of entertainment. It has me on the edge of my seat and discovering new things every single rewatch. And I've rewatched this so many times. And I'm never, ever left wanting in any way. I'm never left being like, okay, I think I've wrung all I can out of this show. Walter White is one of the best characters I've ever seen. He's in my top 10 protagonists of all time. as of the recording of this video. And yeah, I just think they struck complete gold with this. I think it's one of the most important stories for me personally, but more than that, it's completely stood the test of time for me, and just been one of those shows that I look back at as a work of art that has taught me so much of what I value in entertainment and how I look at stories. Yeah, and I have so few complaints about this one. Maybe the reason it isn't quite in the top 4-ish? No, I actually take that back. Never mind. Ignore what I was going to say. It's in my top 5. It's one of the best stories I've ever experienced, and one of the best TV shows I've ever experienced. And yeah, you guys have heard me talk about this one over the years for ages, so I think it speaks for itself. Number 4, though, one that I've actually talked on this channel about, slightly ahead of Breaking Bad, is, music's crazy for this, The Wire. I actually put out 3 videos throughout my journey of The Wire on this channel, last year, a year and a half ago or so. No, a year ago, I think. Maybe less. And so this is a very recent edition, just like Andor, even more recent than Andor. The Wire is, absolute literature. It is more than a TV show, and similar to Andor, it is one of the most important pieces of media in terms of its politics and messaging that I've ever experienced, and it's told in the most visceral, raw, honest way possible. It is unapologetic, it is ruthless, but it gives you just enough hope to not be grimdark, because I don't tend to like grimdark stuff. Well, stuff with the grimdark tonality, I guess. Even if it isn't nihilistic. You know what I mean. But it gives you just enough hope to latch on emotionally to it. It's got, even though I wouldn't say that any one character in its cast is ahead of my favorite character in Arcane, or in Breaking Bad, or in Andor, maybe in Andor. Either way, even though it's my favorite character in The Wire isn't necessarily as good as Tony Soprano or Walter White, or Jimmy McGill or something like that. The whole cast, as in the 30 to 40 characters that make up its cast throughout the 5 seasons, it is the strongest cast. It simply is. From 1 to 40, 1 to 45, whatever it is, every character is so meaningfully plotted out. Even the characters in seasons that people say are weak are still incredibly strong to me. And I have a series of videos talking about it. You can check those out. It is a once-in-a-lifetime piece of work. It really is. But getting into the top 3. And number 3 and 2, I think... 6 and 7 are very close, Arcane and Andor. And 9 and 8 are very close, Spongebob and Sopranos. But 4 is pretty set, 5 is pretty set, 10 is pretty set. 2 and 3 are very, very close. In fact, they were basically right next to each other in my top 100 this past year. But number 3, if I had to say right now, I'm just going to go off of what I ranked below in my top 100 last year. Black Sails. Now, this one has a first season that is not up to the standards of the rest of the show. It actually, it's a very solid first season, but it has notable limitations. But if you can hook yourself into the first season and watch past that, seasons 2 and 3 could be my favorite 2 seasons of all time. Not quite, but in the conversation of it. Season 3, if I had to give you my favorite season of all time, I might say Season 3 of Black Sails. But Season 2 elevates it so much. It's an absolute masterstroke. And has arguably my favorite episode in all of TV. One of them, for sure. And Season 3 is maybe the best season of television I've ever seen. Making sure the volume isn't too loud. Now, season 4 is a bit more flawed. It's a bit more uneven. So it isn't quite to that level, but it's still incredibly good. And the last 2 episodes make Black Sails one of the best endings to a story in general I've ever experienced. It is an amazing cast. There are a couple of maybe flaws with a couple of the important characters. A couple of them I don't really know if they knew exactly the direction to go with them. So a couple of the characters have me confused. Like I said, first, Season 1 has limitations, Season 4 has some unevenness, and you'll notice that I'm talking about Black Sails like it has more flaws than The Wire, than Breaking Bad, than Andor, and yet it's above all of them. And yes, that's just how good it is when it is good, which is the vast majority of the time. It has 2 of my favorite characters of all time. My top 2 in this show is unbelievable, but the supporting cast is incredible. The production values and the way it uses the environments and the events of the plot as a reflection of its characters is unbelievable. The emotions, it has the best dialogue in any show I've ever seen. The relationships, the dynamics, how it examines the idea of stories. It is of narrative, the importance of a narrative. It is out of this world. It is a masterpiece, and it's so close to being my number 2. But I'm just going off of my most recent ranking. And my number 2 is Succession. It actually took me 3 or 4 tries to get into this. I actually don't think the first few episodes are super easy to get into. I actually think that about The Wire as well, but I've talked about that in my Wire videos. Yeah, I tried Succession out after hearing it was amazing. I couldn't really get into the first 3 or 4 episodes. I thought it was okay, it was decently made, but it never hooked me. And then I sort of forced myself past that, and by the time I was halfway done season 1, I think when I hit episode 6, I was in. This is one of the funniest shows. It has some of the best dialogue. It's incredibly cringe in a way I adore. You know when shows are very cringe and you can't help but watch on? Even if it's like this, because of how cringe it is, it cringes me so good, Succession. Same with Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And specifically the dynamics, the family dynamics, the character dynamics, the relationships, how you can sort of cross-reference and understand how characters are the way they are because of their upbringing, and the thematics they're in. I think the direction's absolutely incredible. I think the way it builds upon itself is unbelievable, and I think that season 4 is one of my favorite seasons of television of all time, with several of my favorite individual episodes. I loved Succession up till the end of season 3, but it would have been around 7 or 8, maybe 6 to 8. Season 4. Above and beyond. It is a operatic Greek tragedy in a lot of classical ways. That's sort of a buzzword when it comes to Succession. A lot of people say that as a selling point, but it's true. It really is true. If you look at the narrative devices, if you look at some of the character writing, if you look at Logan Roy as a character, there's a lot of King Lear parallels. There's a lot of Shakespearean. Sorry, I said Greek. I meant Shakespearean. Tragic elements to it, but all in all, it's just an unbelievable piece of storytelling that I think can get a bit depressing and overly heavy, but never in a way that put me off. It has me reflecting. It has me incredibly emotional. It has me dying of laughter. It is just taut and tight and effortlessly engaging, and it is, as of this moment, really close with Black Sails, but just about my number 2, if I had to say. But we'll see by next year's Top 100. And my number 1 has been for a decade, maybe, and will maybe always continue to be. I do not see anything dethroning this. Mad Men. It is simply the best top-to-bottom TV show I've ever seen. It has the best, to me, my favorite world. my favorite aesthetic, my favorite use. Even though I think Black Sails has the best prose, I think Mad Men has the best micro exchanges between characters, duality within dialogue, double meaning, symbolism, little details of richness, unbelievable cast, and it's got its problems. Ask me on a stream what I think my problems with Mad Men are. I have a few. But its strengths just are so far and beyond. They render them invalid. And Mad Men is everything I look for in a TV show, and it is my escape. It's a weird thing, because Mad Men's a deeply critical story about the period of time that it takes place in. It's very depressing. It's awful. The trials of women, the suffering of the average everyday of the average everyman, but all the things that women went through, racial ideas, a lot of the events happening throughout the world, Cold Wars, like all the politics, all these things that it explores are horrific. But in spite of that, I cannot help but treat it as my comfort show. I rewatch at least the first 6 seasons once every year and a half to 2 years, and I always find something new to appreciate, find something new to enjoy. I always am captivated, and I just do not see anything dethroning this. It is my number one, and I think it's a safe bet that it always will be, but who knows? Who knows? You never know. Could happen. Anyways, that's my top 10 plus some honorable mentions. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts on any of the ones I've talked about. I know there are some, there might be some that you might be wanting to suggest that I haven't experienced. There are some I need to still watch, but a lot of them I've probably seen. So yeah, if you're curious, feel free to ask. And there are some that I still need to see. Like I mentioned, Twin Peaks. There are a couple of others that are definitely on my agenda. Something recently that came out is called Widow's Bay, I think. And I saw the first episode and it's pretty good. I want to watch more. But yeah, anyways, I digress. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to share your list, some of your favorites, your thoughts on my favorites. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.